Hi, welcome to my spare room, which isn't somewhere I ever envisaged inviting the world into. But as you know, all of us at Top Church are currently working from home. And as such, we can really empathise with all of you who are also taking this vital measure to help slow down the spread of COVID-19. Whether you're simply distancing yourself, shielding another family member in an at-risk category, or self-isolating due to illness in the family. Some of us are trying to work from home with a young family. Some of us are self-distancing entirely on our own. And some of us have frontline family members at home. So we're all aware of how stressful some people can be finding the current situation, especially those of us who have pre-existing mental health difficulties. So often the advice for people with mental health conditions is to go out, connect with people, make friends. If you look at the 5 ways to well-being, they are inherently social. Connect, give, be active, take notice of the world around you. So many of us rely on those things to keep us on an even keel, and now that's all off the cards. I don't know what things have been like for you, but for me, over the past couple of weeks, my mind's been like a ticker tape, scrolling through worries about my kids, about my parents, about other people's kids, other people's parents, about how the hospitals are coping, how to get shopping, how the food banks are coping, how the economy will cope. And the worries don't stop, they just keep cycling. Because the one thing it's important to know when you're highly stressed is that it can be really difficult to think straight, because the fight or flight section of your brain, that's in overdrive, and it's overriding the part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is where all your planning or your predicting, all of your appraising and reasoning happens. So you might find yourself jumping from thought to thought, and social media and rolling news can feed into this because they both kind of mimic the thought patterns that we get stuck in when we're anxious. Both social media and rolling news break information down into chunks that are brief and repetitive, and they're constantly churning over. So there has been some suggestion in some corners of the internet that now this is the perfect time to write that novel, or to create that invention, or to learn a new language. And I'm here to tell you that it's perfectly fine and natural to be struggling to even read a page, never mind write a book. This is not a situation that either evolution or experience has prepared our brains for, so they will need time to adjust. And to help you along, here are my top 3 tips to give your brain what it needs to start learning how to cope again. Number 1, put the phone down and turn the TV off. If you find yourself stuck in a cycle of scrolling, you need to break the cycle. Otherwise, all you're doing is perpetuating your own anxiety. This may be something that's hard to do, so it might be an idea to give yourself half an hour in the morning or half an hour in the evening just to catch up on the news. But the time in between those times is for doing and thinking about other things. Number 2, breathe. Now that might be something that sounds obvious, but it's also something that we can find hard to do when we're stressed. Now the app Calm has produced a list of free resources, which I will put a link to in the description of this video. But to use things like that, we need some time and quiet and space, and that can be difficult if we've got kids at home. So another good alternative is to sing. Put some karaoke on YouTube, put the Troll soundtrack on, put whatever music on that you enjoy. And if you want some worship music, then the Rend collective have been running the Socially Distanced Worship Club. And singing is not just great because it's fun and you can express yourself, but it's also good because it exercises your rib cage and your diaphragm, exercising something called the vagus nerve, which sends signals to our nervous system that everything is okay and it can calm down and it can settle down that flight or fight response. If you don't feel like singing, then laughing is just as good. Choose your Netflix box sets wisely at this time. Now is not the time to start watching War of the Worlds. You need to really be going for anything that makes you belly laugh. Now, when we're stressed, our bodies release hormones such as cortisol, and at the best of times they can be difficult to get rid of, because rarely in modern life is it appropriate to fight something or to run away from something. And now we're isolated in our own homes, we're basically like caged animals. So that brings me on to my third tip: to move. Move in whichever way you are most able to. Unlike the advice to start writing a novel, the advice to catch up on all of that housework is actually quite helpful, because moving your limbs, especially when there's some kind of effort attached, such as vacuuming or gardening, that also sends feedback into your nervous system to help settle it down. That's one of the reasons why things like yoga and Tai Chi are really helpful, but they're not for everybody. So for some people, things like washing the car or mopping the floor or doing whatever it is that you're able to do, that can work just as well. But if yoga is one of your ways of de-stressing, and now you can't do that because you're in a house full of children, try one of the multitude of dance and exercise videos available on YouTube. In our house, we like doing Just Dance and Cosmic Kids Yoga. It's something that you can all do together as a family. If you have restricted mobility, there's also content out there that's been adapted for you. You can't overdo movement when it comes to distressing your nervous system, so anything is good. So those are my top 3 tips for de-stressing while social distancing. They are simple, and that's for a reason. When we're stressed, our brains just aren't equipped to take in complicated instructions. So I encourage you to go back to basics, and I hope that you find these suggestions helpful. God bless.